You. All right, we are moving on to item 10.0, which is citizens participation. Lexington County School District 1's Board of Trustees solicits the advice and counsel of its citizens. To encourage this participation, the board provides a citizens participation period during board meetings. In order to speak, you must be the parent or legal guardian of a student currently attending a Lexington District 1 school, a taxpayer residing in the Lexington District 1 attendance area, an employee of the district, or a student currently attending a Lexington District 1 school. You may comment on agenda items, school operations, policies, or programs. You may not speak about or name specific individuals, whether students or school or district staff. Failure to follow this rule will result in immediate loss of the opportunity to speak. We want to remind you that this meeting is being live streamed and that the recording of this meeting will be part of the public record in perpetuity. We want to give everyone who came tonight an opportunity to speak. And in order to do that, I will call on each speaker by name and ask you to approach the lectern at the back of the room. The board will not reply to your remarks nor take any action during the board meeting in response to your comments or questions. You may address the board for up to 3 minutes. If you have any handouts you would like the board to review, please give them to Ms. Hamilgate in the back of the room, and she will distribute them. Please do not clap or make any comments either while an individual speaks or after he or she finishes. As you came in tonight, you received a card to fill out if you indicated you wanted to speak. That card asks for your name, address, and other information. However, I will read out only your name and the town you reside in. If you are unable to attend this evening or are uncomfortable addressing the board in person, you may reach out to the board by email, telephone, or mail, and our contact information is available on the Lexington District 1 website. We welcome all messages. All right, first this evening we have Ms. Dana Huxley, and she lives in Lexington and wants to address the board about financial concerns. Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to be talking about financial concerns. Last summer, you all voted on an $11 million increase to the bond referendum for significant changes to 2 projects. Thank you. The transportation facility to house buses and site work for Lakeside Middle School. However, when the referendum was passed, the board had committees that reviewed projects, budgets, and hired contractors. Why was this not done for $11 million in changes to projects? After attending board meetings and emailing the board and district staff with questions about the bond referendum, I decided to go outside the district for answers. I made a records request to the State Department of Education and discovered that the district sat on this information for months before they made the board aware. So why was the board asked to approve the budget increase immediately if time wasn't really of the essence? I had emailed the board in the past with my questions about the bond referendum, but only the same 2 board members responded. When can we expect an update on a timeline for the remaining projects? Where are we with the school that was going to be put on Corley Mill Road? This school was supposed to open in 2020, but land hasn't even been purchased. For the most recent land purchase for the transportation facilities, documents on file at the courthouse show the district paid $5 and other valuable consideration. What other valuable consideration would a private citizen give a public body? Purchasing cards or credit card statements. In 2017, Ms. Garris, as a citizen, stood up here just like I am now and told the board that the district was required to post credit card statements on their website. Fast forward to March 2022 when I began emailing the board because the statements were still not posted online, and while I'm thankful that those statements are slowly making their way to the website, what I'm seeing is alarming. About 24 employees have more than 1 card in their name, while 1 employee having 12 cards in his name. Our external audits used to check that each employee had only 1 P card issued in their name, but our most recent audit from 2021 did not check this. The CFO has sole discretion to issue multiple P cards to 1 employee. The CFO makes decisions on who to issue multiple P cards to on a case-by-case basis. There is no policy or guidance for this, and none is provided when asked. Our district does not do internal P card audits. Richland 1 has an ongoing criminal investigation after their internal audit showed concerning purchases and an employee was allowed to quit his job instead of termination with cause, as our policy dictates. Why isn't this board requiring internal audits? This audit is for 2-month sample of credit card purchases. We also average over 24 unauthorized procurements each month. How does this reconcile? These issues need to be fixed so our children, teachers, and staff and community can have the school district they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Humley. Next, we have Mr. Aaron Grenade. He lives in Lexington and wants to speak about conflicts of interest.
Thank you. I'm reading this on behalf of a brave mom. From a school board member who's sitting on the panel. I am surprised, quote, I am surprised by your email below and disappointed in the tone as well as implied threats. Lexington Medical Center requires vaccinations for anyone who may come in contact with its patients because we have a moral and ethical obligation to prevent them from dying from this virus. You choosing to not vaccinate is your right and decision. People make healthcare decisions every day that influence their health outcomes. Similarly, LMC has chosen not to allow an unvaccinated person to come in contact with patients who place their trust in us to care for them. Whether you choose to believe it or not, vaccines save lives. Despite what you may read from other sources, I see the deadly consequences on a weekly basis for those who choose to not be vaccinated for what is now a largely preventable disease. Our employees do have the ability to apply for an exemption, but that is through their employment relationship with us. There are additional controls that they have to put in place to protect our patients. This person's daughter is not an employee and therefore does not have the same application of employment laws and regulations. With respect to the educational offerings within Lexington 1 hosted by Lexington Medical Center, I am not personally involved as a board member in the selection or execution of those rotations. I have included Dr. Postlewaite as she can route this email to the team members within Lexington 1 to help your daughter select a different educational opportunity that Lexington 1 provides. I have and will continue to advocate for strong community opportunities for our Lexington 1 students, independent of site or company. Finally, still in quote, any implications of impropriety by you involving the hospital in a public forum will be engaged with the full weight of Lexington Medical Center. I will also publicly affirm that Lexington Medical Center chooses to protect the lives of the patients who put their trust in their care by requiring vaccinations of its students and vendors. I demand immediately the resignation of this board member.
Hear, hear.
Thank you, Mr. Grenade. Next, we have Ms. Courtney Elizabeth. She lives in Lexington and would like to share her concern.
Thank you. My name is Courtney Elizabeth. I am the chapter chair for Moms for Liberty Lexington County, and I'm here because the behavior of a school board member needs to be held accountable. This member threatened a mother who was just looking for information on a policy about a class that her daughter is taking. When is that not allowed? When is that to be treated as an assault on the district? The answer is never. The mother was respectful and followed the policies and procedures. The board has always said to reach out to them with questions and concerns, and that is exactly what that mother did. She came to you in a respectful manner, seeking guidance. How the school board member conducted himself is egregious. He came to her with nothing but stonewalling and finally with a threat that he would use his position of power at a different facility, not related to the school board, to silence this woman. This is an ethics violation if I have ever seen one. He is serving as a school board member. The mother went to him as a school board member. He has no right to bring in his employer and other board positions that he serves on in the community as a weapon. How is the behavior acceptable? How is this abuse of power acceptable? How are parents going to feel that they are safe to come and speak at the board meetings and interact with the board members if they are going to be dealt threats by a member and an entity in our community that they obviously do not have the financial fortitude to combat? School board member, does Lexington Medical know that you are using them as your personal Gestapo to silence parents from asking questions related to their children's education? I am so thankful that this brave woman would not be silenced by you. Then she was brave enough to first look out for her daughter's best interest. But then when she saw the treatment she was receiving, to reach out to other members of the community. Other members like Moms for Liberty and the South Carolina Freedom Caucus. These legislators from across the state drove down to show support for this woman today, to show that our constitutional and parental rights will not be infringed. We are here today to let this mother know and any other parent or guardian in this room that you are not alone and that we stand with you. We are here today to see that the school board enacts its zero tolerance policy on bullying to this member. I am asking all of those here today who support this mother and condemn the actions of this school board member to stand up now and to stand with Moms for Liberty and the South Carolina Freedom Caucus, and most importantly, the brave mother who is only looking out for the best interests of her child, and demand the immediate resignation of Dr. Brent Powers. Thank you.
Please sit down. Next, we have Ms. Stephanie Berquist, and Ms. Berquist lives in Lexington County, and she would like to speak about the first week of school.
Hey, so I'm going to start with something positive. Like I said a few months ago, it's been a while since I've been here, but I do want to say something positive. The principal at Gilbert High School has been wonderful in making accommodations for my children, so I appreciate that. I'm going to start there. Obviously, we're here for a reason. Let's talk about the first week of school. It's been a lot for us parents, for y'all, for everybody. It's been a lot. There's a lot of things here. Of course, the most egregious situation that we're here to talk about. I was asked by this parent as well to help. I am in receipt of this email between the board member and the parent. The Attorney General and the Governor and multiple legislatures are also looking into this, as well as our state's Freedom Caucus. This is a very serious issue. This parent was told that her child was mandated to have a COVID vaccination, which is not required in a multitude of places in our state. We have exemptions in our schools, and we have religious exemptions in a multitude of other places. This parent asked for an exemption to this mandate. She was met with threatening, as you now know, at the very least intimidating. I don't claim to know the verbiage between threatening and intimidating, so I want to be very clear, but it was pretty harsh. This is from a board member using his power from a local high-power institution. As you now know, I'm the third person to speak about this. I am here today because this is never going to be acceptable. It's not acceptable today. It's not acceptable for future board members, and people need to be held accountable. People are afraid to come and speak, and that's why we are here to speak on this today. This is not about this one incident, but this is about the precedent being set for current or future board members and how they engage with parents and community members. Community members and parents, it is time to take our schools back. Those of you watching at home, it is time. You do not need to be afraid to come here. Multiple board seats are open. We plan to flip this board. We plan to take it back. We plan to get things back to parental autonomy. And I'm going to read this, what I consider a threat, if not very intimidating statement one more time, just so all of you can be aware. This email says, any implications of impropriety by you involving the hospital in a public forum, such as this, will be engaged with the full weight of Lexington Medical Center. I will also publicly affirm that Lexington Medical Center chooses to protect the lives of our patients who put their trust in our care by requiring vaccinations of its students and vendors. This is an email that went from a current board member to a parent. That is not appropriate. We have elections coming up, and there are some candidates running from this very institution, so I would encourage parents and anybody watching to be very educated on who you vote in for these seats. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Ms. Natasha Duran, and she would like to speak. She lives in Lexington and would like to speak about lockers and backpacking.
Hello, members. I want to thank you folks for opening for public comment. I also want to start on a positive note. I'm new to Lexington 1 District. Recently moved down from New Hampshire, and I have to say that I'm very impressed with this district. I have been very impressed with the classes that my child has been able to choose from. I was also very impressed that I received a call from the school counselor in the first week when my child came out as non-binary, and they asked me for permission to use they, them pronouns, which I wholeheartedly supported. So thank you for instilling a culture of caring. Now on to my concern. It has come to my attention personally, as well as from other parents here in the district, that we have a small issue. And I do respect the responsibility that you all shoulder when it comes to the budget. However, backpack weights. I know that it seems to be a very small matter, but I'm coming to you as not only a concerned mother, but I also am coming to you as a professional. So right now I'm actually in my last semester of my graduate program as in integrative medicine, and I'm also in a PhD track at my university in physiology. So this is something that I'm very well educated on, I'm very passionate about. So the issue is that our kids are coming home with a massive amount of weight, over a quarter of their body weight. I actually weighed my child's backpack, and it weighs in about 25 pounds before I add lunch. Multiple other parents have reached out to me. I also have a change.org petition that has almost 100 signatures on it just in a 24-hour period. I would be happy to share that with you. But we would like to address this because it has come to our attention that some of these schools that have recently been built were built without lockers. Other schools that do have lockers, the students don't have access to them. And this ranges not only in middle school and high school, but also reaches into elementary school. I had one parent who reached out with a child who's 50 pounds and is coming home with almost 20 pounds in their backpack. This is something I don't think is going to get addressed tonight, but I would like to open the conversation so that we can start making suggestions so that our kids are not having to carry their entire day on their back, day in, day out. When I go to pick up my child, I often see children who are not only wearing one backpack on their back, but they're also wearing another backpack on their chest, or they're carrying heavy band equipment. That's a lot. And if we want our children to have a quality education, the last thing they need to worry about is headaches, back pain, or neck pain, because of the amount of weight we're asking them to carry every single day. So I would like to work with the district. I recognize I'm running out of time, but I'd like to work with the district in order to address this problem and come up with some ways of fixing it for our students. Thank you.
All right, and finally, we have Ms. Katie McCown. She lives in Lexington and would like to speak about the survey and the bus.
Good evening. Thanks for having me. The reason I'm speaking tonight is the same reason I am running for this board, to be the voice of the parents, to create change so that policies change, and thus bringing one of the best school districts around to be great again. I cannot do this alone, and I'm thankful that over the last few years I've developed some very dear friends that joined beside me to help bring about the changes the district its parents, students, and community are craving. With that being said, I have had so many calls within just the first week of school. The first thing I'd like to mention is about a topic I think we can all agree on and we're tired of hearing about: COVID. An email was sent out from our head district nurse in regards to students being quarantined after testing positive. I bring this up because parents are tired of being told what to do in this regard to their children's health, and also because the CDC put out a statement on 8/11 saying those exposed to virus are no longer required to quarantine. So just thought maybe you missed that in the news or whatever, you might want to let the nurse know. The second item I want to bring up is the clear bag announcement. I call it an announcement because there is no policy. We can't seem to get our hands on an actual policy. So technically it's not really anything but an announcement. I think it's so important to make sure we're following policy and not just enforcing some random decision someone made. If this is the district's way of making sure they're covered legally should an incident happen, this decision will fail in a courtroom. I think we could all agree there. And furthermore, I agree with a lot of parents that feel clear bag policy or clear bags will not stop someone from putting drugs in their pocket or strapping a weapon to their person. So it's really also very difficult to enforce. Another topic that came up a lot was the bus situation. I'm not sure why we can't get our bus drivers more money so we can get more hired and get our kids home in a timely manner. Some parents wrote to me saying their child did not leave the school to come home until 5:30, which is causing all kinds of problems, as you can imagine. Please work to get this resolved for our families. And last thing I want to touch on is the surveys. I want this board to evaluate what the real purpose is of gathering all of this data on our students. Is it making a difference? And are you seeing big results for the amount of money that you're spending with your partnership with terrorist metrics? I think we need to move away from putting more tasks on our teachers and instead take away such tasks for our teachers and just let them teach and encourage the love of learning to these students. A good education goes a long way, and I don't think these surveys do. Thank you for hearing me out.
Madam Chairwoman, would you give me the professional
Did you sign
courtesy?
up to speak?
No, ma'am, I was running late. Would you provide me the courtesy to
I'm
speak?
sorry, our policy says that you have to sign up before the meeting starts.
In this district,
That's a rule of enforcement of everyone else.
it's just a professional courtesy.
Thank you, Representative.
You don't follow BCBI.
Hey, can I take some of that? We're moving on to item 11.0, which is new business.
Already violated BCBI.
Please do not,
Tell the truth.
Right.